Good morning, everybody. I hope you like sheds. You know, is there an online shed community? There is a Reddit Shedditors. I think it's called Shedditors. Yeah. Anyway, sheds, putting them together, putting stuff in them, taking stuff out of them, trying to get the stuff behind the stuff you put in out, telling the kids to stop playing in them, telling them to get off the shed, the usual. Now in this video, I will detail the complete setup of the shed, talk issues I have with it, issues I've had with you, and most importantly, a long list of problems I have with current Star Wars content on streaming. Now, as you may know, I am a first-time homeowner, or maybe you don't know that. This is your first time seeing one of the videos. Well, I have a mortgage now that's going to take me into my late 70s, so things are fine. You know, I'll make my last payment, clock into work, and then probably die at work. Spoiler alert, that's what we call retirement these days. Now, this thing about my house is important to the narrative structure of my video, so I'm going to talk about it here for a second. I like the house, but one of the weird things about it is the garage was converted into a room, which I've turned into my man cave, I guess. I don't know if I like that term or not. So all the shit we used to keep in the garage at the old place now needs to go either in the house, limited space in the attic, or more sheds. Now, eventually the whole backyard, it's my vision that it's going to be sheds, like a little compound, but instead of a bunch of hippies, it's just shit I should have gotten rid of, but I didn't. It's like, think more of an episode of Hoarders than a Netflix cult show. The pragmatic people looking to buy a house, not the people who flip or landlords, you know the days of dream houses are over. The house you settle on will have something weird about it unless you live in one of those places in the Midwest where the wages are great, property is cheap, and you should just move here. Hey, you should just move out here to Ohio or Missouri. Anyway, the sheds. I have one that I immediately filled up that was already here, and I decided I needed one or two more. Now, I'm going to do these myself because now I'm broke. I don't have a lot of money, so I'm not going to pay somebody to do it for me. I can do it. I can use a hammer. I can follow instructions. So for this shed, I was in need of one that fit an existing concrete pad on the side of the house and another for bikes and things that I will add to the other side of the house. Now, I have no carpentry skills, and I'm missing a few types of saws, and I'm not really sure how a tape measure works, so custom building one from scratch for this concrete pad isn't a good option for me. Someone will tell me in the comments about how easy it is to build your own shed. Anyway, I spent months researching sheds, looking at plans, and I decided to go with the resin shed because it had pretty favorable reviews online. Now, the metal ones were an option, but there's a ton of problems that I saw with that. They require a lot of assembly, and most of those alphabet soup brands without a lot of reliable reviews. You know, it just didn't seem right. Now, the wooden kit ones didn't come in the size, and I wanted to maximize the storage space for the size of this pad. So looking into the best reviewed ones online, that seems to come between two brands, Suncast or Craftsman plastic sheds. Sorry, these are referred to as resin. We call them resin sheds. But this one is made from, it seems, recyclable number 2 plastic. So I feel like resin to me in my head is like a different thing. Are all plastics resins? Sure, but I think resin is a more dense material. Now, the whole box was pretty heavy. It was, I don't remember how much it was. It was way more than I do. It fit nicely in my 5x8 trailer. Now, since I don't have enough credit cards, I opened a line of credit at Lowe's, got a little bit of a discount, paid about $760 for this shed after tax because the discount from opening a line of credit. Normal retail is like $7.99 for this. Shed here is a Vista, which is roughly the width and the length of the concrete pad. Now, I wanted as big of a shed that would fit that pad. I believe I already said that. But now, another weird thing about this house is the previous owner had poured the concrete for the pad around a metal cage for their cats. Like, it was an outdoor cat cage where there was like a hole in the side of the house was stucco. You know, they cut a hole in the house, so I guess the cats could go in and outside the house if they wanted to. We just got a few cats, and I can understand why people would want that because they're always running around, making noise, getting into stuff. Maybe you let them outside and they can stare out there for a while. That, you know, kind of gets that out of them. Anyway, it's weird. I mean, I had to grind the remnants of the metal frame of the cage out of the concrete pad to make sure it was mostly level. That, and I painted the wall behind where the shed was going to go over the terrible patch job they did over that hole, and it was like concrete, and they didn't match it. Who cares? There's gonna be a shed going in front of it now. And I'm not gonna move it after assembly. Now, one thing I didn't take into account at the time was the height. I had another shed there, you know, next to it, and I figured most of them were about the same height because that was like a 4x8, and I was like, 5x7 is gonna be about the same height. Not true. You know what they say about assuming. Anyway, had to cut room for the peak of this shed. Anyway, this shed includes a plastic floor. Now, for wooden sheds, you can use blocks to level them out, or you can use 4x4 runners and put the floor of the shed on those 4x4 runners, or pour a concrete pad. But here, you need to have a pad or create a platform of wood for the plastic floor. Now, the plastic floor itself needs a solid, sturdy, flat surface under it, like a sub base, and the instructions recommend drilling into the concrete to anchor it down afterwards. Now, I'm going to anchor it, which I'm going to do at a later date when I'm sure I don't need to move it around again. I'm storing ladders behind it right now. They're going to go in the other shed. I got to move it to fit them under there. Trust me, I'm going to anchor it, okay? Anyway, first, you assemble the doors and the windows for the doors. Now, note that this shed is vented. I assume, you probably assume they are, right? Plus, it's got a few gaps in the floor and the top that air could get in and out as well. Now, one thing I take issue with in the manual is the person who made it has never actually picked up a screwdriver before it and actually do this, because the suggested amount of turns of the screw, like 2 or 3, it's not even close. Just 2 or 3 revolutions of a screwdriver. It's like 5 times that amount. You know, maybe I'm misinterpreting what the 2 in the turn and the 3 in the turn mean, but I assume that to be a revolution. And anyway, I used a drill. It'd take forever. Just don't over tighten. I use it in short bursts. Since you're kind of anchoring it into a hollow plastic, and if you over tighten it, it will just continue to turn, and said screw will lose purchase into the material. We're gonna have a little bit of awkward silence here and there on this video. I don't know what else to say over some of these parts. It's pretty self-explanatory. But after the windows, you work on the roof supports. Are they the roof frame, the triangle things? I don't know what they're called. Please note that the mesh holes in the screen do not line up perfectly, and you will wind up ripping it even if you don't use a drill. You just have to stretch it, and when you stretch it to make the holes work, you're like, well, maybe you shouldn't have tightened them all down first. Well, I didn't do that. They just don't line up, okay? If you ask my opinion, a metal screen would have been better. However, I'm kind of screaming that into the void here. No one's going to do anything about it. I'm not putting anything edible in there, or you can get a little dirty. If a few earwigs get in there, who cares? I'm not putting anything in there that mice are going to get into and tear up. I'm not putting boxes, cardboard boxes, so, you know, whatever. They could also chew through the mesh if they really wanted to. The shed has 2 skylights, one vented and the other not. I guess this is nice. I do not have a strong opinion on the skylights. Maybe you do, and you can tell me in the comments down there. They look like they could glow in the dark. I would like glow in the dark skylights. That's my opinion on them. That'd be pretty cool. They look kind of like they're glow in the dark, but they're not. I can assure you. Okay, anyway, once you assemble the door and the roof hardware, the next step is to start setting up the main structure. Mind you, the one step you don't see here is me just taking the floor out of the package and walking over to the pad and setting the floor down. It's one piece. I don't need to show that. Remember, need the solid structure under it. It is thick. However, it will not bear any structural weight without something solid underneath, so don't even try it. Gravel does not count as a foundation. Do not use gravel. Anything under it that's gonna shift and move around after some point, like it's not gonna work. You know, you imagine the dirt gets eroded out under there from either water or animals. It's gonna create voids under there, and it's not gonna be good for it. It's gonna deform the floor, and then the pieces aren't gonna fit correctly over time. Now you need to bear in mind the fitment of the pieces to the base, and also putting on the roof. Like, you have to kind of put them down and then slide and then bend to get it right. Each of the wall pieces you put in the slots and you slide. Now, I have a limited amount of room here in this area, so I spent a lot of time cursing. I cut a lot of those parts down. And then you have the plastic bolts that come with its own little tool. And that's how the walls and the corners are joined to one another. Also, the structure, you have to keep in mind, it is flimsy at first, but once the roof is fully added and all the supports are put in there, it becomes pretty solid. Now, I wouldn't play on it. You know, if you get the urge to get on the shed and play for a while, it's probably not a good idea. It would not support the weight of an adult. Now, the shed itself does not come with any shelving, so you need to bring your own or buy the overpriced shelving that mounts with those plastic screws. Some of those shelves are over $100, and honestly, why would you get a two-shelf thing to screw into the wall and it's like $200? Like, why would you want that? You can find them on Suncast website, and then you just go to the main product page under the shed you buy and accessories, and you can find all the things that are compatible with it and search for those online. The prior owner, though, left some plastic shelves, so I will use that. Setup of this shed can be accomplished in a single day easily. However, I had to split the main construction over 2 days because of non-shed based things that I had to do in life. And then the pad prep for the concrete slab, and the cutting I had to do for the roof fitment. Those took me what it amounted to another full day. This was probably done over 2 weekends. I had to paint the wall. I had to prep the pad. That was 1 weekend, and the next weekend was 2 days of the shed and the cutting of the roof. Not the roof, the wood that the gutters hang on. The gutter wood.
We call that gutter wood.
Okay, cool. And I'm going to be honest here. I'm not the most efficient worker, so whatever the time allotment it takes to complete a project, like if you have it in the instructions, I usually double or triple that time. Now, one thing you might ask in this shed review, is it waterproof? I can imagine it would be sort of waterproof. You have to note in the instructions when you put those little rubber seals around things that you saw that you have to put like the seam at the top. Read the instructions when you do that. Most of it fit together pretty well, though, but it has not rained here yet as of the writing of this review. Southern California doesn't have a lot of rain in the summer and then the early fall. I really want to get that other shed done before the rain comes, but this one was done before that. I would definitely caulk up some areas if you live in a place where it rains a lot. I will have to see if I need to do that once it starts raining to see if there's any real problem areas. Most of the stuff in here is going to be fine, but I don't want any standing water in there. Okay, I think we're about close to being done here. Any final thoughts about the shed? Now, the worst part of this whole process was the fitment of the walls to the base and the pad prep that I had to do. I don't know what can be improved there. I think maybe if I had more space around the shed, it would have worked better. You could, in theory, if you had a large backyard and you're putting it in the corner, kind of assemble it nearby and then slide it. You don't want to move it a lot too much, and it's kind of heavy after it's assembled. You could slide it onto the pad. I would do that. You definitely need a little more space than I had here, and I had to move the base around a bunch. Now, the door hinges seem like they would be the first point of failure over time. I don't know if they get brittle. I think these have 10-year warranties. It's probably because the 11th year plastic is designed to break apart and to flake. That's not true. That's just speculation on my part. But the part that I would be concerned about are the little hinge studs on the actual walls. Those are the part that I would think would fail. You put metal brackets over those, but that's speculation. And I also like to point out $800 retail seems pretty expensive, but I guess plastic over the past, like, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years has gone way up in price, which is good because it's apparently, if you listen to the news, it's the microplastics are all sitting in our testicles and our brains. For some, those are the same thing. Now, I wish the shelving was cheaper as well. That's another thing. Let's see what else. Mind you, I didn't show every single screw needed, so please read the instructions, which are fairly good. Although some of the image looks different than the Vista shed that I'm putting together, but overall the instructions were easy to follow and showed every step clearly. I didn't have any problems there. There were words. It came in a few languages. I don't remember those other languages, probably Spanish and French if I'd had to guess, but I've already recycled those. I think that's about it. It's expensive, but it's okay. I don't have a lot of strong feelings on sheds. The whole bodyboards, plant pots, and shop vacs. I plan on doing a video on the wooden one I'm building because I don't have anything better to do, right? Just film shit that I do around the house. But that one requires a lot more finishing. You got to paint it, you got to caulk it, you got to nail it. Everything is drilled. The only thing that they've done for you in those wooden packs is they've cut the lumber to the correct size, which is the part that I would have the most problem with. Measure twice, cut once. Is that the old mantra? That's the part I have a problem with. Anyway, like, subscribe. Check out my links below if you'd like to view the shed. I might include affiliate link or two to buy some parts or sheds if I can find it on Amazon. If not, then there won't be affiliate links, but expect them. Anyway, thanks for watching.